Now, that's how we're going to try it. First, we're going to let you guys watch this video, which is you haven't watched it before. And after that, you will have an extra minutes to figure it out, or you can just answer directly if you feel like it, to answer your understanding of this video, what it really say, all right? And based on after that, I will try to, with my Chinese understanding, to see how much you guys understand. And I can be wrong. You can come in to join, and like that's basically okay. How much the difference between our understanding, like Chinese understanding, and your understanding? How much is the gap, and how can we bridge it? That's the goal. We also need to like talk about why we want to do that. Then bridging the gap between the Chinese and the West about this movement is very important.
We haven't got the answer, so
yeah,
we're just admitting there's an issue.
Hopefully in the future, our own fellow fighters, if they make some translation, they can actually come to us to ask us to, like a QA.
Okay, so wait, did you move it to the 0.75 speed? Because at full speed, we're definitely gonna struggle.
Oh, you mean slow it down?
Yeah, there's a speed, speed.
Okay.
Just a 0.75, just a little tiny baby bit slower.
Okay. 7.5. Okay.
中共间谍气球事件，
are we going?
美国各派政治人物的照妖镜。请问七哥，卖美贼会彻底暴露在阳光底下吗？不会的，但是会很大程度的曝光。这次气球事件在美国几乎是可以说绝对会超过日本珍珠岛袭击美国的结果，一定会的。对美国的整个这个民族、这个国家的震撼，扔10个核导弹，它最终是结果跟你打仗。打完仗拉球岛，那个是一个战争，火战，那叫战争，就是咱俩已经分清楚了，你和我之间是敌人关系。但是我告诉大家，那样的结果对中国人是个祸害，因为那样的事情会把所有的仇恨全弄到中国去。中国人民去，那是不分青红皂白的。但是就像当年珍珠岛袭击这个美国一样，美国当时是不分青红皂白，只要日本人，包括你带日本血统的，我也制裁你。那个死的人那惨状，你光看到这个美国炸这个日本的长岛，炸日本的那几个核武器了，你没看到当时日侨在世界上遭受的迫害，惨不忍睹。那么这对我们是好事。他这个气球一来，对待气球的表达，索罗斯、基辛格、高盛、摩根、洛克菲勒多少家族钱在中国？还有那些所谓的美国最侵华的，你很难想象。最侵华的是美国军队。我给你们讲过，我跟 CIA 的高官坐在那儿谈，我说这些事情，人家说 Miles， 我们是不可能去消灭中国共产党的，共产党在那儿符合我们美国人的利益。而且我认为你要消灭中国共产党是很疯狂的，是不可能的，而且美国人也不会跟你一起消灭共产党。然后我就问他，今天你来之前我就知道了，你卖了一个软件卖给中国3000多万美元，是真是假？他当时脸就傻了。我说我们从来没指望你美国消灭中国共产党，我们只想让你停止支持中国共产党。只要你停止经济、科技、军事上支持中国共产党，我们就会消灭共产党，而且是非常的快。他说不可能。我旁边坐着仨人，一个是美国某个基金的老大，就是索罗斯的总裁 CEO。第2号人物是一个年轻版的索罗斯，不能告诉你们名字。第3个人物就是那个德州那个哈根巴斯。他说美国在经济上要想撤回在中国的投资，美国经济得打对折，世界经济要崩塌，供应链要崩塌，美国是要出大事的，甚至是革命。
Okay, well, it started off as a relatively easy one there, I'd have thought.
Yeah,
That wasn't
an easy one.
That wasn't too difficult. I mean,
we'll start with an easy one.
I haven't got a photographic memory, but I mean, we're doing a rock paper scissors.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Let's go.
Ready?
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, you mother.
You
All right.
All right, I'm going first.
Wait, no, you can decide who goes first. You win. It's different.
I have the power.
Yes. That's
danger.
Because it was an easy one, I feel like if I don't go first, it makes me seem like not doing very well. So I'm gonna try it. But there were a couple different topics that came up within this video, from my understanding. First and foremost, there was a question that was asked at the beginning, right, which was asking about if exposing what is happening with the CCP and the spy balloon is going to point out the kind of like the people who are evil in the American system, the political system, like, is it going to bring them to light? Miles said probably not in this case, but there are a couple of things that are bringing these important issues of the dangers of the CCP to light. The spy balloon was one of the things that he brought up, which obviously is something everybody is talking about. There have been a lot of different reports about how many spy balloons there are, how long was it known about, all of those types of things. But the problem with this spy balloon is that the American people are still having some trouble separating the idea of the CCP from the Chinese people. So in the case that there is a kinetic war with, the CCP, there might be some situation occurring similar to, they said sanctions against the Japanese. I think they're actually talking about like the internment camps and things that we had in this country during World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But that's the part that I'm a little unclear. If they are specifically talking just about sanctions, which, yes, we did have sanctions where we weren't trading with Japan, and that was a way to damage them because they're a big import-only country. But I think they're also talking about how, like, these people were literally sent to camps and they weren't allowed. And then he went on to say that as long as Americans do not support the CCP, that is going to be good for new federal state of China. They just basically have to pull out. He had a conversation with somebody about how this was really difficult to do. Somebody in the CIA who was like, we can't do that. There are too many financial interests inside of the CCP, China specifically. And then he was talking about how canceling those or limiting those would damage the American economy, which I agree, but you still got to do it.
Okay. You turn, Byron. 3 minutes.
Well, my answer is pretty much exactly the same, just probably not worded as beautiful.
You cannot say shit like that.
I can say whatever I want. I think you'll find out. But yeah, I will give you an answer. My answer is just going to be the same in different words. But basically, to be honest, I will say this: I didn't really like the way that he said it's potentially worse than the bombing on Pearl Harbor. But I can understand where he was coming from. But let's face it, dead people is always going to be worse than a downed balloon. But yeah, the fact that it is, he used the term kinetic war, they're not bombing anyone, but it is basically, I don't even know 100% know what the term kinetic war really means. Obviously, I understand that it's not, a men on the boots on the ground kind of war. I think does it mean more like economical warfare, or what is kinetic war? Do we know the answer to that?
I do, but I'm not going to tell you now.
Well, the answer to that doesn't really change anything. But yeah, the fact that he had spoke to someone, and that someone in the military, and they were saying that one of the biggest pro CCP things in the US is the US military, which is crazy when you think about it. But it doesn't really surprise me that much. But yeah, the fact that they're saying, no one in America is going to help you take down the CCP. And I I kind of disagree to a little bit, but I think the majority of people will not, especially the majority of the organizations, because everyone earns loads of money off the CCP.
Yeah.
But I do think that the American people maybe not will fight, but will at least, well, it's already started happening. Stop supporting them. A lot of people have started to buy things more locally. So everything that Miles Guo has said is yet again happening. And I don't know if that's from the spy balloon, but I know a lot is triggered from the spy balloon. And so, American people are starting to not support, well, they don't even know what they're not supporting. That's the thing. They think they're just not supporting China.
30 seconds.
Which is the issue, because people still can't differentiate between the CCP and China. But I mean, that is pretty much, what he's saying about that. And he's saying everything we already know. The fact that, the CCP are not the Chinese people. Americans are not exactly going to fight against the CCP. But Miles Grove and I and myself feel that we are going to stop supporting them. I know that we stopped doing it in my country quite a lot. There's a lot of resentment against CCP.
Time's up. Okay. So you haven't.
But that was way too easy.
I would say not really. In my understanding and you guys' understanding is quite a bit the difference. That's why. But let's do it again.
中共间谍气球事件成了美国各派政治
A magic mirror. I didn't see that part.
卖美贼会彻底暴露在阳光底下吗？不会的，但是会很大程度的曝光。
This magic mirror is like a Chinese saying, in the West, the journey to the West. If you don't understand, the Sun Wukong, the Monkey King.
Wait, hold on, Byron. Do you know what Journey to the West is?
I haven't got a clue. I've heard of Monkey King, but that's probably from some anime that I watch.
Well, that's actually a popular character that comes up.
Imagine that is one item in the the fantasy world. It's like a mirror. When you show it in front of those monsters who disguise themselves as human being, right? But in the mirror, you can see their ugly face.
We have magic mirrors in the West,
So the question was asking Miles, this whole air balloon thing, can it work as a function of that, like showing who is truly like this sleeping agent in the US government? Is that going to expose them? So, and his answer is no, but it will expose them in a large extent, as this translation said, some people will explode. Please.
Can I give you another angle from the Western perspective? Simple one. The myth of the East is that people can be clocked. The magic mirror will unclock it. Think of think of Star Trek. Klingon clock their ship. And the mirror is to unclock it.
Yeah.
Things get disguised, and the mirror is there to unearth. It's basically to expose it.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's what it meant.
So you got it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I've got you.
So the people asking the question, is this air balloon thing will work as a function like that? Okay. So he said no, but we expose something. At least people pay attention to is something going on there. Okay. So continue.
这次气球事件在美国几乎是可以说绝对会超过日本珍珠岛袭击美国的结果，一定会的。对美国的整个这个民族、这个国家的震撼，扔10个核导弹，它最终是结果跟你打仗，打完。
So what he's trying to say about the Pearl Harbor attack is not what you meant, Byron. But basically, what he meant is that the impact to America is way more important than the Pearl Harbor things, this balloon, because he said he comes to explain why he said this is gonna have more impact. Basically, he said if the CCP do something similar like the Pearl Harbor attack, that will end up with one result. The result is that China and US will have a connected world. And I'll explain you why a connected world. Basically, you fight with guns and shit. All right, to actually fight.
Like a physical war.
Yeah. So basically, you flip the table. You say, no more pretend. You are my enemy. I'm gonna kill you. That kind of thing.
So it draws like a solid line of like, now we are enemies versus this is still leaving it too ambiguously, but leaving people. I mean, I would say most part people are kind of nervous about it, but they don't know how to react because nothing like this has ever happened.
He continued to say why he thinks it's more important or more impactful is that if let's say the Chinese Communist Party dropped 10 nuclear bombs into the US, the final answer, as we talked about, was going to be a kinetic war. Nothing more than that. But that would put the Chinese people on the totally other side. Like that's why he go to explain the Japanese in the World War II, what the treatment the Japanese people got. So what really means is that if China actually have a kinetic war with US, the Chinese people will end up way worse than the Japanese people back in the World War II.
So this is saying if there is a kinetic war, that is the result. But the point is that this hasn't occurred yet.
But now these air balloon things actually not enough to provoke in a kinetic war. But in the same time, net American people to pay attention to that. They understand this is not just the Chinese people. That's actually the communists, Xi Jinping, and someone who's actually doing that.
So why is it worse than? I don't get why it's worse than dropping 10 nuclear bombs.
Because if that is gonna, first of all, not worse, the impactful. That's why the translation, I don't know, like.
So it's a translation issue. So he's not saying that it's worse. It's impacting the relationship of how things are going to happen.
Yeah, like to American or to the West, it's more impactful than you drop 10 nuclear bombs. Because if you did
because of the uncertainty.
Yeah, because like right now, the best for the two countries is not to draw a line in between. Is actually figure out who is inside, who is trying to sell everyone out, who's like, that's a real problem. But when you draw the line, those people will never like show up, in my opinion. Like they will always remain somewhere, right? So the problem will still remain. That's the reason.
So by impactful, it doesn't necessarily mean on a negative. Like you can have a good impact.
Yeah, exactly. Like wake up is better than get slapped or get hit, right? Right now.
Yeah. So the spy balloon, I suppose, has created more ripples in the ocean of uncertainty in the American organizations than dropping bombs. Because when you drop a bomb, you know that you've dropped a bomb. Loads of people are dead, and it's not that much to think about apart from clearing up the mess. But something like this is getting more people thinking. I understand that now.
All right,
more now.
Keep going.
I was thinking of it more like he's saying that it's as bad as
that's
bombs.
how I interpret it too.
So for now, we already checked one thing, like the original understanding from what I explained.
It makes sense, obviously, because I didn't agree with him at all. And there's been quite a few times when he said something I ain't agreed with him because he's compared certain things to very bad things that have happened, and he's probably meant it in a totally different way. And what you've just said makes sense. You know, the spy balloon has impacted certain things more than dropping a bomb, and that does make sense because it's got
in the same time, it's not enough to push the Chinese people on the other side. So
it's not demonizing them because this is really like a CCP, and that's why it's good for New Federal State of China because it's emphasizing the fact that this is a CCP spy balloon.
The people of China will become your enemy. And you like the people in America, the Chinese people in America will get worse treatment than the Japanese back in 1940.
They would if this CCP spy balloon thing was not what it was. If it were just the CCP doing something equating to attacking Pearl Harbor, then the Americans would retaliate in a way that was worse than how they retaliated against the Japanese during World War II. But because the situation is different and it's causing more ambiguity, and it's still ambiguous enough that the American people still haven't quite
don't forget about this whole air balloon thing, not just Xi Jinping sending the balloon, but partially is how the American government react to it. That is also the problem. The real like let people see, holy shit, though some people are lying, some people are not clean. But now it's more like people realize where's the actual problem, start to address
So it's a way to kind of draw out the poison. It's like kind of bringing it more to the surface so that people know, okay, there is definitely a problem, but we need to identify where it is within the system.
Yeah, so with this thing, the outcome goals will actually benefit the Chinese people and the American people, because they actually, first the Chinese people will not on the other side, less chance on the other side as the enemy. And the good thing about American people, they realize what will the people, like some people selling America, right? That is the problem. They pay attention to that, to start to actually addressing the problem. Not just America, in the West, right? England too. So people start to pay attention to that. Instead, okay, someone actually selling us out.
是好事。他这个气球一来，对待气球的表达，索罗斯、基辛格、高盛、摩根。
So here he tried what we just talked about.
Morgan. Sorry.
So he's basically saying those people before is pro-Chinese. Mostly those people he like listed.
Well, when you say pro-Chinese, do you mean, because like here's the thing that gets complicated for, at least I would say from a Western perspective, like when we use Chinese to talk about the Chinese people versus Chinese to talk about the CCP.
Let's put it that way. When we talk about pro-Chinese people, I think you make a very good point. We have two types of people pro-Chinese. Like you guys are pro-Chinese, and
when
Goldman Sachs and all the other also pro-Chinese, but they pro-Chinese with money involved, and they pro-CCP, not the Chinese people.
Yeah.
All right. So those people who pro-CCP, they have to make a stand now. They have to like react to it.
Well, because the whole argument originally with why these businesses were able to have relations with CCP China, right, a communist nation, was that hopefully the influence of having relationships that were democratic and capitalistic were going to influence the CCP and move them more towards that direction, when in actuality that hasn't occurred at all.
So they will have a completely wrong idea about what is actually going on. So this air balloon thing and how the US government, the West react to it, actually make the people start to ask the right question, but not just ask the right question, also ask the right question to the right people. Right? Some people need the answer. That's why those people he listed need to make a stand.
我认为你要消灭中国共产党是很疯狂的，是不可能的，而且美国人也不会跟你一起消灭共产党。然后我就问他，今天你来之前我就知道了，你卖了一个软件卖给中国，3000多万美元是真是假？他当时
Yeah, what does he mean about this? Wait, pause it. This software thing.
So
is he talking about the?
See, he was actually continue to describe his conversation with that CIA person. And he was asking him, did you sell software on $30 million to the CCP? And the guy was shocked. And he said, I knew what you did. All right. I knew you sold this software, whatever apps, whatever thing to the CCP.
But is that like an official deal? Is this like an official CIA group that is selling something to the CCP, or is this like something like under the table that he sold for $30 million that Miles is like, I see you.
I don't know. He didn't say that. That actually a very good question. I think American people should ask that.
I am, right?
It's something sounds a little bit dodgy.
$30 million for software from the CIA to the CCP.
Yeah, you think the CIA
Seems
would
dodgy.
make a Flapping Bird? I don't think they make Flapping Bird like an app, right?
Yeah, like what could they be making for, and $30 million? That's not chump
They probably made TikTok.
Like, we know the American people are going to get addicted to this.
How they're using the TikTok input, the function to like copy your clipboard and shit, that kind of thing.
It just made it, sold it to give it to the Chinese, and then can blame the Chinese for spying when it's actually them self-spying on their own people. Maybe. Oh no, I'm just a conspiracy man. Don't listen to me.
Which is a fact, right?
我旁边坐着仨人，一个是美国某个基金的老大，就是索罗斯的总裁 CEO。第2号人物是一个年轻版的索罗斯，不能告诉你们名字。第3个人物就是那个德州那个哈根巴斯。他说美国在经济上要想撤回在中国的投资，美国经济得打对折，世界经济要崩塌，供应链要崩塌，美国是要出大事的，甚至是革命。
Three people.
He said 3 people. One is the CEO of the Soros Foundation, or just rich people, put it that way. All these rich people, like money people, finance people. He is basically saying that if American is going to withdraw all this investment from China, we're going to cause a big problem, which is the value of all this investment, at least we're gonna like 50% gone, and there will be collapse of economic, and maybe some people in America will even like rising up, have a revolution. No, that just like things gonna turn into shit. Basically, what they said.
But things are already happening because of the pandemic like that. Like that's already starting to happen. So when were those statements made? Was that before we were experiencing like economic collapse as a result of what's going on, or
I think it's a bit before. He didn't say that, so we need to go through the.
And was that Miles just relaying something that was said to him, or does he disagree or agree with that statement? Because I personally agree with it to a certain degree. You know, you can't have someone like the CCP that nearly the full world depends on to a degree. You know, we've all got so used to 50 pencils for 50p. You know, now we're gonna have to pay £1 a pencil. Get the fuck out of here. So that's gonna create a massive issue, so and that's inevitable.
But before you continue to talk about the pencil, let me ask you guys a question.
Just an analogy.
Yeah, but the question is, remember I was asking now, your understanding, does it change compared to like beginning?
I would say the whole
only the
part
first
about
bit.
the Japanese parallels they were making, that was definitely different.
The mirror thing, especially to me, because obviously Pistachio probably knows about that. But to be honest as well, that was in like the first 2 seconds of the video, so I literally just saw the word mirror. I think we needed to maybe see 5-10 seconds before that, because I didn't realize it was even a question. But I didn't know what that meant. So, I mean, if I was watching a Miles Go video, I would be thinking, what the hell is he going on about?
They actually do that in official subtitles sometimes when I watch Chinese films. They will, like, if there's like a reference to something, like, for example, the river water doesn't mix with the well water. Byron, do you have any idea what that would mean?
The river water doesn't mix well with the well water.
Yeah. Like,
let EK to explain to that. 河水不犯井水. Please do.
I know what you guys are saying. The meaning of that directly say water from the well will never mix up with water from the river. That doesn't make any sense in English.
Yeah.
Well, you probably can guess what he's trying to say, but it doesn't make sense. It basically means 2 material like oil and water doesn't mix.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting from it. Yeah. Even though
and those things should like stay separate. They shouldn't try.
Oil and water will never mix together.
Well, that is the English version of that saying. Yeah.
So if I'm watching a Chinese film, this is my suggestion, right? And that comes up, right? They will literally translate that phrase, right? The river water doesn't mix with the well water. But then, so the subtitles are at the bottom. At the top, they will add a little note, and they will give you like a little bit of background about what that phrase is. And it will say that this is a saying that is equal to water and oil don't mix, right? Something very quick that gives you like, oh, okay, I got it. This is like the equivalent of how they say that in Chinese, even though there's the literal translation. This is like the meaning behind it. They should just do something like that.
They should either do that, or just have someone educated enough in the cultural differences. Like, for example, that scenario there with the well water and the river water, if I was, let's just say I was doing the transcript and I was doing all that writing, I would just put oil and water. I don't really care if he didn't say that, because I don't need him to say that. He meant, that's what he meant. So they should just literally change what he said as long as the meaning is the same, because then I've got to spend another 3-4 seconds reading that thing at the top. So then I've had to pause, because otherwise I'm going to lose track of what I'm doing. So they should just change it, because that one was ridiculously easy.
Yeah, compared to some of them, that one was easy.
Yeah, let's get to one where he's talking about fluffy rainbow morning dew.